Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's going to be a fantastic day because Wednesday we get to hang out, we get to create, and we get to play. And also, we have a terrific class in store for all of you. We are going to be playing with some colored pencils. I know that you are excited. Welcome to today's show. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, and happy Wednesday. I am so excited that you are all here joining us. I am so happy. Please do let me know in the comments where everyone is tuning from. I am sending lots of love from Texas. Hello, hello. It's very warm here in Texas. All right, so let me check my comments in here. Oh my goodness. Yay! Lisa, you're here today. Oh my goodness, we get to hang out. Lisa is from Florida. How's the weather? Is it hot and humid like here in Texas? Whew, it's so hot. It's so hot. Hey guys, let us do a send off for Emma. Emma is going to college. Emma, good luck and have a wonderful school year, my dear. Enjoy school, enjoy that, make lots of memories. So, we're going to have lots of fun. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Wow, you guys are so awesome. Thank you for being here today. I know that y'all are ready to play. I know that. But one last thing before we start, I really want to take a moment to, of course, thank our amazing sponsor, Faber-Castell USA. Faber-Castell USA has been a trusted name in the art world for 260 years, since 1761. Can you believe that? Yes. They are well known for creating very high quality art supplies for artists of all ages and levels. And these weekly classes wouldn't be possible without their support. So, on behalf of all of us, thank you so much, Faber-Castell USA. Alrighty, guys, let's have some fun. Okay, in this class, we are going to need a pencil and eraser for some sketching, and of course some colored pencils. And today I'll be working with Faber-Castell's Black Edition colored pencils. That's right. Hold on. And then for my paper, I am actually working, I will be working on the Artist Level number 2. This is an illustration paper pad. It is a Bristol vellum because we'll be working with colored pencils today. So we need a little bit of that texture, right? Okay. Let me move my screen and we're going to get started. I know that you're excited. I am too. I love Wednesday because this is Lay Day. Alrighty, you guys. Um, I know that sometimes drawing can be, a little, I don't know, a little overwhelming, a little sometimes you think like I don't know when I look at an object, when I look at a subject, it's like thinking I could never even draw anything close to that. But today's subject, we are going to be drawing a tropical toucan bird. So there we have it. I'm going to put this on the screen so we can see it also while we're drawing. But if this is your first time attending one of my classes, I always, because I am a self-taught illustrator, I have learned how to simplify everything that I want to draw. What that means is that I really want to start breaking down the whole subject into simple basic shapes. And then I will then form or draw the whole picture by using these basic shapes as my guide. And so that is how we're going to start today. Okay. So I'm gonna go make sure. Now, the sample that I created in the thumbnail, that's actually more like a parrot because we have like a teal body. A tropical toucan bird like this has a really more just a black body. And then of course, its beak is going to be really, really colorful. It has this like lime green, orange, red, and then we have like that aqua color. It's just absolutely beautiful. I actually asked my chat GPT today to give me some like information about the toucan bird. So it's like there's so many things that we're going to learn today. Let me grab my phone because it's somewhat really, really interesting. Okay, here we have it. Where's my chat GPT? It's my best friend. Okay, so their bills, not the beak, it's a bill. So their bills are not just for show. Though they look really amazing, they actually help the toucans reach fruit on branches that might otherwise be a bit out of reach. Plus, that big colorful bill helps them stay cool by regulating their body temperature. Very interesting. Another fun fact. Toucans are quite the social butterflies of the bird world. They often hang out in small flocks and have a whole bunch of different calls and sounds to communicate with each other. And gossip girls. And lastly, they live in a tropical forest, so they're like a little ambassadors of the rainforest. They add a splash of color to the canopy, right? So we learned something new today. So the bill, yes, 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 the bill. Okay. All right. So we are going to be starting with sketch. And as usual, we are going to break down the subject right here, our little toucan bird. So what we're going to do is I think I'm going to place mine a little bit. Do I copy everything and place it a little bit to the right? Yeah, so that we have enough space for our bill right here, right? So let's start by breaking down the basic shapes. We're going to start with circle because we're going to go I'm going to try not to make it so big because, we're working with colored pencils and colored pencils really, they take some time to color with colored pencils. It really is. And so from there, we're going to make an oval just for the beak, so we can start with that because basic shapes. I'm going to go zoom in to this so you guys can see. And then we're going to try and of course, I always do the opposite when I try to focus and it's not focusing. Come on. Emma, gelatos. Oh my God, guys, we're gonna play with gelatos very, very soon. If I can figure out how to do this focus ring, we're gonna get there. There we go. I think I finally did it. All right, so we have our circle. I'm gonna try and make mine a little deeper with contrast so you guys can see because I love you. I'm gonna sacrifice my workspace. Usually I really sketch really light, but I love you guys, so I'm gonna do this. And now it's kind of like the body of the bird, but we're just gonna make it like an oval, right? Because we start with basic shapes. And then what we're gonna try and do is we're not really trying to make it so realistic because it's gonna take us one whole day to do that. So we're gonna do a very um, just the best of her ability. You can make it a kawaii, you can make it into a more whimsical, so a representation of the bird based on how we see it, so how we want to artistically make it look like a bird. And then we're gonna make it where for its leg, they really have kind of like weird leg, so it stretches out like this, like that, and then it goes from that and then just a curve, right? Like a half circle, a top of a circle. And I'm going to go slant my page a little bit. And then we're just going to add that straight line here because it kind of goes around that for that branch. Branch, right? All right. And then there we have it. There we have our bird. I'm just kidding. All right, so now that we have our basic guide, like what I said, I always start with the basic shapes. It's kind of like, okay, this is a bird. It looks like kind of like a bird, but this is actually just our guide. So what I like to do is, I know a lot of people don't like doing this. They just kind of like go from here, start sketching again. But then I get really kind of like discombobulated when there's like so much strokes and so much lines going on. Yeah, my brain, I get overstimulated with all the strokes and with all the lines. So I just kind of like to minimize that lines and then sketch cleanly, much better sketch and to actually start forming the whole subject, okay? So from here, we can see that the head is much smaller because look at my head here. It's a little bit big, so we're going to have to adjust this. It's okay. We start from here. So I'm just going to adjust. I'm not going to go follow the original height. So this is where we do our adjustments. And I'm going to try not to talk so much because we have a whole lot to do today. So now we can copy. You can see the guide over there. And this one stretches out the bill. Going to be like that because this is going to be the colorful one. And like what I said, remember, this is going to be, you know, just a very fun um, representation of how you see the bird and how you would like it to be. So it doesn't have to be that perfect bird looking thing. And so now I can see that from that, actually it's coming, because if we see the circle, it should, our bill should start coming in from here, almost like the quarter of that, right? Because it's a really big bill, very big one. And it goes down, straight line, right? And it goes stretch out, comes out of its head, and then it starts curving just a little bit. I think my bill is a little too billy. So we're gonna go just fix it a little bit. Just gonna go adjust that. It's a little too long, so I'm just gonna go like this and then bring it down. Bring it down now. All right. Things okay. We're getting there. Okay. All right. Feel like this one is a little too big too. Okay, Lay. Adjustment queen. It's all right. Be here. I'll be here all day adjusting. Just kidding. I'm not gonna keep you all day, but I'm gonna keep you for a couple of minutes. Okay. Lisa said, "Oh, Lisa, you're so excited." I'm so excited to be playing with, yes, of course, with our Black Edition. And you guys know the Black Edition pencils, they're very smooth, like some of the, you know, other brands out there, but it's very inexpensive. I can't believe the price when I check the price. It's like, this is not right. I can't believe this is how much it is. Why so cheap? Because it's so good. So good. Okay. All right, so okay, I'm talking too much. All right, so from here, we're gonna go bring it down, and then we're gonna create this kind of like protruding part of that chest of a birdie, right? So a little hump over there, and then we go down, just like that. All right, and then from here, bring it down, and then we're just gonna go kind of like going there. I think I'm going somewhere. Okay. All right. Okay. And then, oh, so the beak goes over the head, lay the top of the head. Very smooth and creamy is correct, Lisa. That is the best explanation. Guys, make sure you put the beak on top of the head, okay? Because I talk too much. I'm really not paying attention. I'm gonna be serious now, guys. So we go all the way on top of our birdies like that, okay? All right. But this is why we sketch, is that so we can make better decisions. And that is why I sketch lightly, everybody, okay? And then we go from here to there, okay? And then from that top of the bill, we're gonna go add like almost like a letter S. See, all the way here. There we go from there to here. That's like a lime green color. It's so fun. I know it's not, you know, basically it's back to school, but it's still summer because it's so hot. So hot. And I don't know why I'm not using my vacuum. This is what the vacuum is for. It's to get rid of eraser suds. Okay, wow, we're doing so good. I'm gonna go add one line over here. That's for the black area because everything else is like neon and red. So you can break down the bill now if you want to, just kind of like start adding in area for your colors, just to kind of like plan it out. And this one, we're going to add some orange, right? And then we got some stripes over there. Basically here would be where the aqua color or turquoise color would be. You just kind of know. I'm going to add our eyes. Now, you know that I really love doing like a very whimsical drawing. So I'm going to change my eyes because sometimes I look at the eyes as just kind of like staring at me. So I'm like, might have to change my eyes a little bit to make it look more adorable. Now you don't have to. You can just make it as round if you want, but I think I'm going to change mine. So it's not so round. But I feel like if you change the eyes, it might look like other birds, you know, kind of like humans. They have their different characteristics. But sorry, Toucan. It's kind of just like a little creepy just seeing all that black eyes in there and then all the green. Okay, so now we're going to break down all the feathers. And this is where we're going to have fun and, you know, make it very whimsical and very artistic because we're going to go play with the feathers kind of thing. So we want to go add just kind of like almost like elongated scallops, right? Because we're going to add like some feathers in there because even though it is black, we want to add a little bit of highlights in there later. Just kind of like to show details of the feathers. Fun. And then over here is I guess we're going to have like a longer version. It's almost like going to cover parts of our tail. Right? I feel like I'm butchering the toucan. The toucan's probably like, what? I do not look like that. Sorry, toucan bird. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my hardest in here. I'm gonna go clean up my desk, guys. This is a brand new one from Faber-Castell. It's a desk vacuum. I didn't know I needed it until I did. I actually needed it. That's why I bought it. I got it from Michael's when I went to Michael's the other day. I'm like, what? They have this. I need this because, you know, I am the adjustment queen. So that is why we need that. All right, I'm gonna do the legs and that. All right, but I feel like that's really it. I don't want to make this too complicated because we're just having fun with a toucan. Toucan. You know what? I told Jason today. I told him one can't, but two can. I wish I have like a laugh button, like I feel like we need that laugh button. You know what? I'm gonna get that laugh button. Next week, we're gonna have that laugh button because we need laugh button here. Come on. Okay. So I feel like my sketch is good. This is all I need, like a basic release sketch. I feel like only my head is just a little too round. So I'm gonna go just, this is the only one I'm gonna, I promise, my last adjustment, guys. Promise. I don't want to curve it a little too much, you know, because earlier it was like curving a little too much, a little too round. A little too. Laquita, we need that laugh button because, you know, I feel like someone has to laugh. I know you guys probably laughing, but I cannot hear it. So, you know, we need a little bit of like validation. So that laugh button would be really handy. All right. I feel like that's about it. I feel like I'm good. Okay, Toucan, we're gonna start erasing you. I don't need to perfectly erase it, especially the ones on the inside, because we're gonna cover that with some colored pencils anyways. But I'm glad you're laughing because my daughter probably would not be laughing. She'd be like whatever, mom, rolling her eyes. It's not funny. One can, but two can. Come on, Rain. That's pretty good. It's actually pretty darn good. Okay. Fruit Loops. Oh, now you're making me hungry again. We got so hungry last week from doing our macaroons. My goodness. And then Laquita here would be sending me messages and sending me her eating macaroons. Can you imagine that? Oh my goodness. Yes, the Fruit Loops, the Fruit Loops. It's my favorite too. I actually really like the Fruit Loops. Okay, I'm gonna break down my colors. We're gonna leave a little bit white part over there. Again, you really don't have to if you don't want to. And I feel like I did three. I'm just gonna keep with the two because I can only see two tail, two feathers right there. Just gonna keep it like that, and then I'm good. All right, where do I start? Okay, so for the top part of the birdie, I feel like there's a little bit of warmth in there. I'm pretty sure it's like the light source is hitting it. So that's why it's a little glowy on the neck part of that bird. So I really don't want to do all black. So what we're going to get, look at this. This one, you can put it on your desk. You can do it like this. Isn't that so fun? You can just hold it. It's like a pencil holder already. You can do it just like that if you want to just flat. But this is so fun. I didn't realize how handy that is until I'm like, oh, wow, that is really fun. Okay, so I'm going to grab my colors. I'm going to grab black, dark brown, a lighter brown. I'm going to grab a little bit 728. It's almost like a beige, very cream. So just going to add it as a highlights here and there. And then we're going to grab the lime Toucan Sam. Oh, is that the name? Yes. Okay. Lime green, guys. Grab some lime green. And then a brighter green. So like this. Why do I have two of that? I'm mixing everything. And then I'm getting a deeper green for some contrast. We're going to add a little bit of contrast in there. Now, I'm not going to do a lot of rendering. How I want to treat this illustration today would be a bit more textured. I'm going to play with a lot of textures in here. So we're going to get some turquoise, so a light blue and some, I don't know if that's light blue, but we're going to grab a lighter blue. Okay, in the deeper, and then a much darker one. Okay, what else do we need? Orange color. I'll grab that orange color. Oh, we need red too. Okay, so three different values, light, medium, and dark. I'm going to grab some red, and then I'm going to use the brown to add a little bit of contrast in there, and the yellow. Because if you really want to render this illustration in like a super rendered, no, it's gonna take us forever. When we did the macaroons last week, I actually spent almost like 45 more minutes because I wanted to render it much better. So I spent another hour, and this is how mine turned out. See how much more contrast and highlights in here. So when we did the class last week for like an hour and a half, that was not enough. I spent like another 45, 50 minutes more just to kind of like add in more rendering in here. But so it really looks good. So it is worth it, but it's going to take us forever. Okay. All right. So let's start. I'm going to start working from the top to the bottom. So I'll start with the top, and I'm going to go in with my black really lightly. I think I'm going to go in with, no, sorry. Scratch that. I'm going to start with my dark brown. So I'm going to go move around my desk so that I don't have to be so crazy with my arms. I'm just going to do a little bit light color. So when we're talking about hand pressure, let's talk a little bit about that. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 the heaviest hand pressure, I am doing a 1, okay, to apply the colors in here. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of this almost like beigey color just to add bits of that highlights. And then I'm going to go back in with my, see a little bit of warmth in the neck area also. So maybe we'll do a little bit of like warmer brown in here, more sienna, I think. This is more like a sienna color, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to color all of this black in a little bit, but you know what? It's okay. We're going to start with that. We're going to pretend like we're going to go work in layers. Okay, and then I'll work in, because what we can do if we want to add like artistic flair to it, then we can add like the lighter brown in different feathers, you know, make it look more fun because it doesn't have to be realistic. Because again, if we're going to do this realistically, that is going to take forever, my friends. So I'm just going to color in all of this part right here. And then we can add in contrast and highlights later if we want to. And that is the reason why we want to go in with just a number 1 pressure, right? Really, really light pressure. And I'm going in just to fill all the areas because really this is going to be just black, but because of light, and that's the way the light works, is that light bounces, you know, so maybe we see a little bit of yellow in there, golden in there, probably a reflection from some of the trees, from some of the greenery, its surrounding and all that, or from the sun, and that's why it's really, really fun doing it that way. And as you can see, parts of that feather is lighter over here also. So I'm going to go in with my sienna again, like a really light brown. I'm pretty sure we're going to cover this up later on anyways. I'm still using my light brown. Can you still see the scallop that you did over there if you are going to end up using that? Well, we can just kind of like eyeball it where we want to add our scallop areas. So I'm still on the number 1 pressure, just really light. And then look, a little bit bluish in here, but I think that's from the landscape where it's from. See, it's just so beautiful how nature works, honestly. So gorge. So I'm gonna add some deep aqua in here. And again, number 1 pressure, very light. Go easy. Go easy, baby. Okay. And then we're going to keep a little bit of that highlight. If you want to do it naturally, you want to keep a little bit of space in between. But you know, those are the things that they said is cheating. But you can use acrylic paints in there later or some pastel pencils, like white pastel pencils, and we can add in some highlights. I mean, you know, why would I make things complicated? It's the goal is to have fun, to enjoy ourselves. Then I'm going over that aqua color, and I'm doing long, light strokes. So we're just adding that base color first, that layer, first layer. And then I'm going to use a darker gray for its leg, just so we can lay down all the colors. You know, we can visually start seeing our whole subject. Go easy on your pressure. You know, I don't have like a warm brown for the branches. This is the warmest I have. Okay, then I'll use it for my branch. And notice I'm doing a horizontal this time, right? I'm following the shape of our branch. So I'm not going like this, right? So just horizontal, following the original shape. We are establishing the colors, blocking the each individual subject as well. So we have our branch, tree branch in here, then we have our birds, and having a different stroke over here doing the horizontal, our eyes is not just going to go one way, because if we have our stroke all at once, like going vertical, it's sometimes what we're doing here is really suggesting to our audience, or, to ourselves, that this is a totally different subject right here, this tree branch. Okay, just going over number 2, pressure, but really lightly, because this is textured, so there's a little bit of that. You can really see the tooth, the tooth of the paper, that texture. So it is sometimes, it takes a little bit more extra effort to really fill in the hills and the valleys and the gaps in the tooth of that paper. All right, so I'm going in with my green first. It's almost like there's a green around our birdie's eyes. So I'm just going to go darker, slightly darker green. Very light in pressure, guys. So just be gentle, and I'm just going around that eye shape. And then I'm going to start going in, seeing a little bit of that. I can see a little bit of that orange. How beautiful is this toucan bird? Yeah, we can draw that. What's the name again, Emma? I'm going to see. Hold on, where's my comment? Oh, no. Toucan Sam. Look at you, Lisa. I'm so proud of you. Because we did what? Break down the basic shapes. And that was it. If you really start with that, you can sketch anything. Anything. All right, so I'm going in with my darker green underneath that. So just kind of like establishing the shadows, the contrast, and the highlights. There. Okay. I'm going to do one by one. So I'm going in with my lightest. This is the lightest green. I'm just going to go layer, just one light layer. We start with one layer, very easy. We are not burnishing yet. That would be the last part, the very last part. Right now, we're going to take it easy. Just lay down the colors. And now, after doing this, you guys are going to realize, oh man, I love using markers first, or like, or maybe use, I don't know, use some watercolors first to really lay down all these colors, because it can take forever. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my middle value of green, and I'm just going over this dark area right here. Like that. So we're just working in layers, because this is how colored pencils will work. You know what colored pencils taught me, and is continuously teaching me, is patience. Patience. Patience is a beautiful thing. So I'm switching between my light, my medium, and my dark value of green. So of course, I'm going to use that darker value to establish that contrast, and then to blend it much better. It's really as simple as switching from one color to another. Most of the time I go from light, medium, dark, dark, medium, light. Okay, so that's just how I like to establish all of that colors in there. And there's many different types of blending when it comes to colored pencils. You can do, the traditional way, the gradation, by changing the pressure, establish all of that contrast, and then the highlights as well. That's why it takes patience. And then some will use some of the oil. I mean, that's almost, I really just don't like the smell. I think it's the smell that throws me off, but you can use like, golly, my brain is not working today. What is the oil that I'm talking about? La 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 la. Gamsol oil. Okay, now I'm adding some pressure in here. So I am probably in number 3. And notice how when I want to apply pressure, I really hold the pencil a little bit closer to the tip because that is when I need control and then I also need precision. But if I want to be loose, no matter if it's a pencil or a brush, I hold it a little bit close to the very end of the brush or the pencil, just depending on what I am using. Now I'm using the darkest again and adding some layer in there again. Now, when it comes to working in layers, the very best pencil there is would be the pencil that we've worked on last week, would be the polychromos pencils. That's just, to me, it's just the best because I feel like with the polychromos, because it's an oil base, you really can just kind of like, work in layers and it's not going to have too much buildup because once you start getting a lot of buildup, what happens is that it's going to start feeling waxy, right? Also, depending on the paper that you are using as well. Never use copy paper, my friend, because you're just going to end up being so frustrated. It's just no fun. It's not going to be any fun to create, and that is when just working with good art supplies really does help because it takes out the frustration that sometimes we can get by using, a little lesser quality, but yes, a bit more budget friendly, but with, lesser quality also. And it gets frustrating. And so when we're using higher quality, a better quality, it not it doesn't only propel our growth, and it also takes out that frustrating moment because it can get really, really frustrating. Okay. I feel like I've layered and packed enough over here in my bird. So I'm going to go move on. There's a little dark brown or black over here to kind of like, so I'm going to go in. And this time I don't need to do this lightly because I can just work in here and put in the color. There's no blending or anything there, so I'm just gonna go in there and do my color right there. Okay, and I'm gonna go in with my green. So I'm gonna go in with the lightest first. Notice the top of the bill will have that lightest, the lighter green or almost like yellow, but it's a very light green. I feel like I should probably clean up the sketch because it's gonna be light. So it's okay. We can just go in there and that's why I love colored pencils because of that. Oh, I keep forgetting I have a vacuum. Just go in with the lightest, right? That's the lightest. A little bit more. I feel like I should probably even use yellow in there because look at that, really, really light. So yeah, definitely you can use your light yellow in there. So much fun. And then we can start working with the green. I'm going to start with the lightest. And then like what I did there, I'm going to go switch from the light to medium to dark and then vice versa. And then don't worry about all the details, those little tiny stripes. You can work on that later. Oh, see, this is where the vacuum, look at this. Vroom. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vacuum. All right. Light, medium. I'm just going to try and avoid this part. I've already blocked in that area for the orange. I'm going to go light here so we can start adding the stripes later on. So this is my middle color. I'm playing with my lightest. And I'm going to go in with my dark. So again, if you want to make this as rendered and as realistic as you would like, you know, feel free to do that. It just takes forever. I don't think it's going to be for me. I just want to establish my colors. I am pressure-wise probably 3 now because I'm really trying to lay down the colors in here. Establish my contrast in there. The dark areas, probably where kind of like almost like connecting the colors meet. And then by doing this, it kind of also works as almost like a line art, right? A line work. Because I'm not going to be doing any line work today. I'm not going to use any fine liner. I'm just going to stay with the pencils. Right. Now the orange. I feel like I'm going to do with the light yellow first over here. Or light orange, I should say. Just this area right here. I didn't clean up so well, so I can really see the pencil marks, but it's okay. Okay. When it comes to strokes, I'm going back and forth because I really want to build the textures in here. Now, if you want to avoid textures, you really want like a more smooth, you know, gradation in there, do more of a circular stroke, you know. But with me, I really want to build this texture right here. My gosh, look at all the intensity of the colors. This one, because there's not a whole lot of things happening here, so my pressure would be around 4. I really want to lay down the colors in here. So look how vibrant the colors are. That's crazy vibrant. Wowie. Okay. All right. Now I am going to go in with my teal area right here. Short strokes back and forth. Like some are circular. When you get to a more detailed one, the short strokes work better. And then in the middle, I just do a little bit of like circular strokes. Just like that. I feel like it needs to stretch out a bit more. Like this. Instead of just kind of like a one perfect oval shape, I'm gonna do like almost like irregular, kind of like a wave. Just to make it more artistic. Just like this. Okay. AK. Going in with a little bit lighter shade of blue, just to blend out that, lighten it up a little bit. And then I can see that parts of it has like yellow, so I'm just going in with the yellow, right? The tip of that bill, so we can have it. And then we can go in with some oranges, deep oranges and red now. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my lighter value first. And then we can go back in with the dark value, the red one. And then we can gradually just blend it from here to the orange, where the two colors will meet. Short strokes, back and forth, back and forth. Just like that. All right, and then I'm going to go It's really much better if you would sharpen your pencils. Sharpen your pencils because it would make life much, much easier, especially when you have like areas like this that you want to fill. I made that too sharp. There we go. So the core of this pencil is much softer, or I shouldn't say core, but the lead of the pencils are much softer than the polychromos because if I am not mistaken, these are wax base. Like that. So I'm not really being careful about all the strokes that I'm doing to meet parts of that because, you know, it's okay. I'm going in with the orange again. Just kind of like, wow, so pretty. Okay. I feel like I'm okay now. Green, I'm gonna go back in with a green. The darkest would be at the bottom. I'm gonna establish that. I can go in here underneath all of this very lightly. It's just a darker green. It's a cooler tone too, right? And then go in here. I'm gonna go over that same layer just to blend it. And go in with the light. And going in again. Going over that. So this is part of the art where you're like, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere, but you gotta trust the process. All right, so if you wanna start blending everything and really lay down the colors, just be careful when you start burnishing. That means burnishing means just packing in all the colors, heavy pressure all at once. You can do that, but I only do that when I know it's my final layer. It's kind of like, okay, this is it. Because when you're working with pencils, you can't just go back in there and layer another one, especially if it's a wax-based pencil, because like what I said, the pigment starts packing and then you get this waxy buildup. And so, you know, just try to avoid that. Try to avoid applying so much pressure when you're not 100% final of your blending or of the outcome, I should say. So I'm just going to establish all of that contrast and then going in with my light again. And then this time I'm really applying pressure. So I want to start laying down all the colors. I'm going in with the lime green. I feel like this is really not a lime green. This is more like a yellow green, light yellow green. And this lightest here will blend all the colors, almost like this is the blender. So I'm really laying down all that colors, and I am number 5 now in pressure. Really heavy. Almost like you're pushing some of the colors as well. You're pushing it to the paper. You guys are getting a workout today. Woo! That's what I think about that, using colored pencils. You're like, wow, I just did a workout. So I'm going to go in, clean up some of that paper texture, laying down the colors, packing all the colors in there, and filling in the texture of the paper, right? So here as well, if you want to go back in with your red and really just lay down the colors. Fill in the gaps. And then I'm going to go in here as well. And then I'm going to go start cleaning up. Now, when it comes to that texture, the stripe texture, we can use, we can do a little bit of mixed media. We can go in there and use like, I don't know, markers, so like a light gray, hit artist pen. And that's why I love mixed media, guys. I really, really do. I love, it's not cheating. It's just, making use of what you have. That's what I think about that. Sharp, I love this one. This is I can't remember the name, but this is from Faber-Castell. So there's three different shapes. So this triangular pencil works in here. So I use the color. So there's a color, graphite, and a jumbo. So I really love that one. But there are more inexpensive pencils out there that you can definitely go for. But that one works for me. Oh, shoot, different. Okay, where's my lightest? I need my lightest color. And then I'm going to go in here and start packing in the colors too, right? So after we lay down all of that, I'm going to leave the around my eyes. I'm not going to go in and put in so much product in there because I want to go in later on and add a bit more darker green around it. But let's just pack in all of that. I feel like I should have used yellow in here as my undertone, but it probably made it a bit more lime. I see more neon color because the toucan, look at that. It's like a neon, almost like neon looking. But we can go in with the yellow and just add in some highlights here and there, to just make it a little bit lighter if you want parts of that. And this is where art is really, really fun because you get to just explore and really try new things. What's going to happen if if I add a bit more here or I add a bit more there? Okay, like what I said, I'm going to go in with the darker green and just lightly, very lightly going around the eyes to really shape up that eyes. Just like that. And then I'm going to use the dark black or the dark brown. I'll just use the dark brown. And then I'll start with the outline. And then I'll do a little bit of circle. But like what I said, that part we can use acrylic marker, the shake and paint, to just add the white part. So that we can just put down the colors and not try to be so careful. But it's okay. And I'm going to do parts of this darker. Like that. I should probably make like lashes, like super long lashes. I don't know. It's probably fun. Okay, and then we're gonna go in with our dark brown, and then I'll start packing in the colors as well. And this part right here, I'm not gonna try and be careful. I'm just gonna go crazy with the texture of the pencil. I'm leaving the black to the feather so we can just establish that shape that we wanted to add earlier. Remember the little scallop thing? So I'm going to keep that black so that it will have a much better contrast from the rest of the feather so that it won't look so flat. So we're just going to pretend, I'm just going to go from here. I'm just going to add it. Just add that scallop. That's where I'm going to put my black in later. Right? My pressure here is probably 3 because I'm really trying to lay down the colors. Do a little bit of brown, a warmer tone, but I'm going to go back in again with this dark brown. But it will just give that undertone, warmth to it. Remember that glow a little bit around that neck. If you want, you can skip this one totally. Just do with that old brown. And then we can just use some acrylic markers or pastel pencils actually to add some highlights. We can work in that too. When we start working with some pastel pencils, we're definitely going to need to break it down into like 2 classes, because before we can even finish the sketching part and then really start getting in with the pastel pencils, it can take a little bit of time, you know. I do have some of the classes lined up already. I will make sure to post that soon. We're gonna have some fun fall themes coming up. So autumn, it's really gonna be so much fun. We'll be playing with some acrylic paints. I am not strong in acrylic paints, but I have been learning. I really love the texture that you get from the paints. I love it. So we'll play with some acrylic paints. Faber-Castell has a really nice, inexpensive set as well. That is what I'll be working on. Oops, I need to sharpen my pencils. Oh, I over sharpened it again. God, it's so pointy. I love it when it's like freshly sharpened though, especially for details. Details is so important. Okay, remember we have a little bit of that brown in here, that warm undertone. I don't know if you guys can see that we have that warm undertone for some of that area right there. And then I'm going to make my blue undertone in here. Then I'm going to grab my acrylic so that we can start adding highlights later. And then I'm going to follow the shape of the bird. Look at this. So that the feather is almost like moving. So we get that, as you can see, the layers also. See? And then I go, and then go lean in a bit more to the right, just to kind of like follow the shape of our bird. Like that. Right? And this one, just short strokes. I think I can see the warmth. Like that. One can, two can. Ooh, this paper has a lot of tooth and texture. But you know, when you have texture in your paper, what it does is it also gives the pencil more surface to work on before, but it just takes a little bit more work. You know, instead of like having a smoother paper, then you can really just lay down the colors. But with some textures, you know, it takes a little bit because you're really gonna have to work it. But then you also have a lot of textures to work with if you're going to do a lot of layers and a lot of blending. And so it's kind of like, it just depends on what you're working with, you know, what type of artwork you're working with and how you want to work, you know. So sometimes when people say, oh, this is the best paper for pencil, it's not always, you know, just true. Because it just really depends on how you work and what type of illustration you're working with. So how I like to treat that would be test you know, and really see, okay, what type of drawing do I really like and enjoy? Do I like realism? Do I like whimsical? Do I like, you know, very children-like? Now, I personally like the children type of illustration, and that's what I am working towards, you know, learning more how to be more like a childlike in my drawings and in my paintings. Oops. That's what happens when you're in a bit of a hurry. You get a little not so careful. Just going to cover parts of that area right there. Go underneath. Okay. Now for our brown, the branch, you want to start building your textures in there as well. For the wood, you can go in one more layer. We can do that. Especially here underneath our bird, where the bottom of the feet. And I'm going to go in like sparse. Look at this. Just so it's building texture at the same time. You know, it's adding like contrast in there as well. Go in here again. So just going in areas. Like that. So we can go in with the dark brown if you want to add more contrast, you know. And if you want to be a bit more whimsical, you can go in here and then just start adding your like texture of the wood. Just like that. And then use your dark gray again. Really lay down the color of the feet. Like that. Now I can start adding in my black, but I'm going to leave a part of my feather. I'm going to leave a little bit that's light. Okay, and here too, a little bit of space like that. So areas like that is going to be remain light. I'm just going to follow in the shape of the bird. Can you tell the black from the dark brown? They're pretty close, pretty darn close. I feel like that's a burnt umber, a really dark brown. Because it's a cool dark brown. Like that, and then go from here. I'm just gonna go careful filling in this area. I'm pressure, I have been using like really heavy pressure because I'm just really laying down colors now. I feel like if this was like watercolor and then you did like, we did like a wet on wet technique, that would be so pretty. That's why watercolor is so fun because, to get those kind of like different effects because you can almost like recreate anything with watercolor. It's just so difficult because it's just is because of the movement of the water and the paints and the pigments. It's like, oh, so gorgeous. So different. Okay, so now that I have like my black and my browns and all that, now if you want to go back in, I didn't leave the white part because I forgot. I forgot that. So we can kind of like, build textures in here if you want by just adding a little bit more darker areas. It's kind of like this. To add some artistic flair to this. And that's why I didn't want to go in with the black yet. So I wanted to use that dark brown because then I can go back in and really pack in more colors in here. And then if I want to, I can almost like add almost like that fold of the, right, of the other wing. Establish in there. And then lastly, you can just use the black and clean up more of the lines. Here, I want to add a little bit more black to really show that separation. And that's why you start with light color because then you can still pack in the colors later on instead of just kind of like not having any more place in the paper to pack in more pigments. And now I'm just adding like little, textures here and there. So adding just line with some really heavy pressure to really lay down all of these colors. But it makes it more whimsical when you add patterns like this. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to add in more. Because again, I'm not in here, just a little bit of that. I'm going to add that also in here. Why not establish a little of that here as well? Just like it. I love it. Okay, then I'm going to go in with my brown and I'm going to start adding some of that texture as well. Even though, we added the grain earlier by doing that lines. I love doing wood grains. It's one of my favorite things. Something about wood grains. Now I can't wait to do this again with our fall themes because we're going to start building like, the whimsical characters. Because we're going to be creating foxes, so building the textures of their fur. I think it's going to look good. I think we can get rid of our toucan now. Farewell, my friend. Thank you. But that's what we have. And then I will add in a little bit more contrast in here. I want to do the same with the green. I'm going to start adding a little bit of that texture. I'm using a dark green in here. And you can do like this, like that, like a little scallopy. think I'm going to add that stripes just so we can have, you know, a little bit of everything in here. So it's across the whole artwork. So it's kind of like you're matching things in there. Establish with my red. I really want to lay down the colors in here a bit more so it will really pop and striky. Just bring it all the way down. Still, we have that light orange undertone anyways. And if you have like a darker orange or even use the red, you can add in more textures in here as well. Isn't that crazy? By just adding those textures really did change this whole illustration. Almost like from bland to more whimsy now. Not like a whimsy. And then I'm gonna add like a little scallops. Yeah. And then I want to add some greenery in the back just so we have, you know, some, you don't need to overthink this lay. We're just going to do some leaves. I'm going to make like long leaves to make it more lush and tropical. Now you can just layer the greens in here, play around with the greens if you use. You know, you can make it as many as you would like. This time I'm not doing any type of blending. I'm really just drawing the leaves using heavy pressure. Pack down all the colors. You can use markers in here if you feel like, you know, I want to add a bit more different textures. We might do that. If you have like a lighter green or a darker green, just start adding it. I feel like I want to add some here coming in from here also. And try to go as loose as you can with your marks and your leaves because you want to give it that whimsical look. And that's how you're going to give it that whimsical look if you make it imperfectly perfect. Because when you try to make it, you know, a bit more realistic, it just doesn't match the whole vibe of, you know, of your illustration because we're not really aiming for that realistic look. And that's why we have like organic marks in here, you know, so just have fun with it, like play around with the shape of the leaves. I mean, you know, some are pointy, some are long, some are short, like this. I mean, you can still play with the blending, but you know, it's just gonna take super forever. Or just kind of like establish this first, lay down the first shape, you know, of the leaves and then go back in and then add some marks, kind of like what we did with our bird. Can go in there. And then remember, you can just layer. You don't have to be so careful because they're all greens anyways. And that's what I love about it. It's like, okay, probably using watercolors and you have to be like so careful with that because you don't want everything to blend. That's the only reason, you know, when sometimes it's like, okay, as much as I love working with watercolors, there's like that drying time that you have to wait for. Okay, so like what I said, kind of like, right, add your first layer and then you can go in and just add some details or textures. Because, oh, I need to sharpen this pencil. Add that marks and all that. Go in here and just add a little bit of like organic marks. This, I want to add a little bit here. Welcome to the jungle. That's what I have in my head. I don't know why I have that in my head. Why? Why? You can go in there and just kind of like start adding in that more darker shade. It makes it where it's not so flat. There's like different colors, layers. And then later on, you can actually add some watercolors in the background if you want. You can make it as unique, as you as possible. Because this is your, you know, your creation. So you want to add your touch to it anyways. Maybe add like a crazy leaf shape, you know, instead of just like the regular leaf shape, maybe have more. Just paint it like that. I'm just going to add a little bit more black to my toucan. And I think to make this birdie more adorable, I'm just going to add, not realistic at all, but I'm going to add some my lashes because it is my creation, so it has to have that sassiness to it. Sassy. And then I gotta get my pink. I wonder if I can still pack pink. I don't think so, but we're gonna try. Oh, I can still layer it? Because I have really laid down colors in here. I didn't think I'd be able to add more layer, but okay. We have it. We have the pink in there. I'm gonna go zoom out just a little bit. Can we see that? I feel like I want to add a little bit more here, but I'm done. I'm done, really. Guys, how's our toucan? Remember that one can, toucan? You know, you can go in here and just start adding in your like acrylic paints. You can start layering that, you know, add in the highlights here. You can start doing that. You can go in with the shaken paint and just cover areas where you want to add some highlights to it. You can get gold for all gold and add some to the leaves. Hello. I mean to the leaves, to the feather, because why not? And that's what I love about the acrylic paints. It's like so much fun. Layers in there, but I hope you guys had fun. I had a wonderful time. This was such a nice play session, you know, no hassle, no fuss. It's just pure play. And this is what I love when we get together because I really get to just kind of like have fun with you and play with you and grow with you and learn with you. You know, it's a never-ending process. I know I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna stop it now. We're all done. But that's my toucan. Oh, I enjoy that so much. I feel like I want to add more greeneries, but of course I'm not going to keep you forever in here because that's what we have. Oh, thank you, Toucan Sam. There you go, but a lovely Toucan Sam because well, maybe she's a Sally, Toucan Sally, Toucan. Oh, I knew I was gonna go do that again. Okay, I am stopping. I'm stopping, guys. I love the gold because I see the gold. Look at that. Oh, the gold pops so much. Wow, so pretty. So pretty. I can just add, keep adding. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. But Toucan Sally. Oh, hi, Carrie. Yes, please do watch the replay. Sorry you missed us, and I'm glad you're home safe. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you had fun. If you guys are watching this on a replay, this is a weekly event where we get to hang out, create, and play. No stress. Bring your art supplies with you, and we're going to just keep learning and having fun. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that that was relaxing. And I thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for spending some time with me. And again, we'll see you again next week. I will be posting. Please do watch until Friday. I'll have the new classes in there. But again, thank you so much. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure to like my page. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do make sure that you like and subscribe because, guys, when you guys, doing all the comments and all that, the engagement, it really does help with the algorithm. So your humble friend, thank you for your lovely time. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, you guys know where to find me online. I'm everywhere. So have a wonderful time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening or your day, where I know Amazon, wherever you guys are at. I'll see you again next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you all so much.